Hey, everybody. Happy almost fall, which is my absolute favorite time of the year, and it doesn't last long enough for me. I love the fall weather. This is Susan from Bauer Center for the Arts, and you're listening to the Behind the Bauer podcast. Our show offers inspiring conversations, a fresh look at arts in our community, and provides spotlights on artists, performers, collaborative partners, educators, and organizations around the region. We want to celebrate the universal expression of human experiences through arts, culture, and our community. And today we're talking with Cynthia Gresham and her experiences with the Oshogbo Artist commune in Nigeria and her beautiful art collection, which is currently on display at Bauer Center for the Arts through Saturday, September 28th. So good morning and welcome, Cynthia.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me in the studio.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So we always like to start out by having our guests tell a little bit about themselves to our listeners. So I'll let you take it.
Well, we were in West Germany, and I say West Germany. At the time, there was a West and East, and my husband was working with General Electric. We'd been there for 10 years. His supervisor came to us and said there is a position open in Africa to set up a sales and service a show for a customer they had there.
Mm-hmm.
And would we be interested? And we both kind of swallowed and said, we'll think about it. And so we did a little research, and I found out that the Nigerian society is a matriarchal society.
Mm-hmm.
The women run the show.
Awesome.
And I thought, okay, I can deal with this. So we packed up and we moved down there for 3 years. It was a closed-in contract. It is a third world country,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hard. But I reveled every second in it.
Mm-hmm.
I learned as much as I could about the society. And in moving down there, GE's habit was to let you stay with an expatriate that was already there.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent something like 6 weeks with this family. And the first week we were there, on Thursday, she said, "Come help me." And I didn't know what I was getting into. So I went downstairs, and she started pulling all this artwork out of closets that were stuffed all the way downstairs. And we set it up. And she said, every Thursday we have the Oshogbo Artist commune show.
Mm-hmm.
It has been run by expatriates for the last 15 years.
Wow.
The Oshogbo Artist commune was started by Suzanne Wenger. And she wanted to make sure that the young Nigerian artists were in a nurturing community.
Mm-hmm.
The artist that I collected the most of was Bruce Onabrakpeya. He was trained in England,
Mm-hmm.
and they did pastorals. They did cows and sheep and trees.
Right.
And he wanted to do mists and spirits and calabash. So when he finally got back to Nigeria and went to Oshogbo with Suzanne,
Mm-hmm.
he took a lot of the younger artists under his wing, and that's how this whole thing grew.
Right.
They would bring their stuff to Lagos. An expatriate would open their house once a week, and the crowds would come. I tell you, when we started setting up at 12 o'clock, they were already standing in her courtyard.
Wow.
And then closed at 4, and we had to shoo them out of the house.
Wow. Amazing.
So that's how I got to see and look at every single piece that came in the house.
Right.
And have first choice.
Yeah. So can you tell a little bit more information just about the commune in general and how that worked for, with the artists, and were there actual artists there that were creating? How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. It was a community, and any artist that wanted to go there was no charge.
Mm-hmm.
It was a family. They took care of each other. They brought their families with them and lived in the area. And she had something like 30 acres. And she opened it up to whoever wanted to come,
Mm-hmm.
and had buildings built. And they could learn any craft they wanted. They could do beadwork. They could do art carving,
Mm-hmm.
wood carving. They could do painting and that sort of thing.
Right.
So that they all would bring their expertise in if they'd studied abroad,
Right.
and then teach it to translate the local customs and traditions and life to the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it really, and it is, I've researched it, it's still ongoing.
Wow. Yeah. I did a little research and looked up and saw that, yeah, you can still find information about it on the website, and that it is still ongoing, which is amazing. What other than that involvement have you had in the arts, or had in the arts prior to that? Or was that your first real exposure?
My father was in the military, so we moved frequently. And everywhere we went, I would always get involved in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as for art, you see different art, different places, like in Japan, like Okinawa, and in Germany. But I wasn't really interested. I didn't draw. I didn't paint.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you took art when you were in school. And
Right. Yeah.
And so I really didn't get into that.
Yeah.
But when I got involved with these pieces, and they're so gorgeous and detailed.
Yes.
I had to ask each artist, how did you do this?
Right.
What's different between this piece you've done and this piece that he's done? What does it depict and
Right.
why?
Right.
And they would tell me. They'd tell me down to the little details.
Yeah.
And I just got into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the collection, and tell our listeners a little bit more about what they can expect to see that's in the current exhibit at Bauer Center, and what kind of works of art are there. What's your favorite pieces, that kind of thing. Let's get into the details.
Well, my favorite piece is the master that Bruce Brockpea finally gave me. They create these paintings by taking a zinc plate, because zinc doesn't react to the heat, and it was hot there.
Right.
And they would put epoxy on the plate and let it harden. Then they use woodcutter's tools to cut the picture into that plate.
Mm-hmm.
So it is intricate, it's deep, and you've got this master. Then he takes, I guess it's cotton cloth paper, kind of like the dollar bill is, and he would soak that for up to 30 hours in water, so it's very pliable. And then he would ink his plate. He would either just ink it in black to have the outlines, or he would paint the entire plate. Then he put this paper on the plate and run it through a press, an old-fashioned, like you see in the Civil War or originally, where they would crank that down under a lot of pressure and then leave it. And then when he'd bring it out and peel that off, it would be embossed.
Right.
And depending on how deep he carved it, it would be delicately embossed or deeply embossed.
Right. Right.
So there was a lot of work in that. And if he just did it with black, then he would go back through and paint all the details in individually. And the typical way they number theirs, they say a run of 1 of 30.
Right.
But each one is individual. Each one is painted differently. So it's not like a lithograph where they just run 30.
Right. Yes.
So each one is still an individual painting. And he wouldn't sell his masters. He said, that's like selling my children. But so many expatriates begged him for a master.
Right.
He started doing sacrificial masters. He would do them the whole way, and he would carve them, but he would never use them. And if you wanted one of his masters, that's what you got.
Gotcha.
When we told him we were leaving, he presented me with the one that is there.
Right.
It was originally on teak wood. Teak wood is their trash wood. And I took it off of that and mounted it on copper and put it up for display.
Right,
So
right.
that is my all-time favorite
That's
piece.
amazing. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit. I know that there are foil rubbings.
Yes.
There are other types of, I think, printed, like block print or
Lino Brock.
Tell a little bit about some of the other pieces that are in the exhibit.
Well, the foils are done on the master, and I'm going to bring one when I do the artist reception to show that it hasn't been backed.
Mm-hmm.
It's aluminum foil,
Mm-hmm.
like you have in your kitchen. And as a kid, you'd take that and do a rubbing on a quarter,
Right.
and you'd have that quarter in all its detail.
Right.
Well, if you take his original master and rub that foil on there delicately, you get a reverse piece
Mm-hmm.
in the foil. But they were so thin that he knew that the expatriates couldn't carry them out without damage them.
Right.
So he discovered that if once he got it done, he would just simply back it with the same epoxy,
Mm-hmm.
pour epoxy into it. He told me, he said, now it is bulletproof. You can take it anywhere. You can stuff it in any suitcase and it will not be damaged. And he said, if the colors are damaged, you go to the hardware store, you buy a color, you patch it up. It will be fine.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the foil rubbings. They're all like that.
Right.
The other media is called engraving rubber.
I was just going to say I saw where there
Yeah.
was some rubber.
If you've ever been to an old-fashioned newspaper, you see this rubber that is backed on plywood, and they would use that to do pictures.
Right.
The engraved pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went back in 84, we had a chance to go back and bring some more stuff out. The government had really restricted the import of supplies for artists.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they wanted to encourage it to be done locally.
Gotcha.
They wanted everyone to do it locally. So the artists were really running low on ink, on
Mm-hmm.
paper,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And David Dale was out on the street walking by the newspaper and saw all this stuff stacked up in a back alley.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in and said, "What are you doing with that?" You know, his mind was going. He was a woodcutter.
Uh-huh.
So they said, "We're throwing it away." He said, "Can I take it?" And they said, "Take all you want." So
Yeah.
every day
He would just take.
he would go down, or he'd send a couple of his boys down, and they would all pick up whatever they could get.
Right.
Then he used his woodcutter's talent
To carve.
to carve it. And if you carve down deep enough, the engraving rubber is that dark brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into the brown, light tan of the backwood. He could get detail in there like nobody's business.
Yes.
And then for paint, he found that while you couldn't get artistic paint, they were still importing body paint for cars.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So he would go down to his local body shop and buy paint.
Right.
So the couple that are painted in there, they're bright red and black. They're lacquer.
Okay.
So they really shine.
They do shine. I noticed that.
Yeah.
There's one piece I really am. It's a large piece. I think
Uh-huh.
it's red and black, and that
Yeah.
that one I'm very
Yeah.
drawn to.
The one that I really like is Blossom. It's interwoven with red and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all body lacquer.
Yeah.
So it just shows the ingenuity. Even though when they had nothing,
Right.
they were still creating.
Yeah. That was one of my questions I had was it difficult for them to obtain art supplies, and what
Absolutely.
other
Yes.
things did they use?
They would use trash cans. They would use tin roof. They would use wood. They would use bamboo. They would use anything. I mean, the drive to create in that community is so great.
Mhm.
You just couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it.
Right. Right. Was there any interest from youth in the area to learn from these artists, or?
Quite a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. I remember one young man came in when we were there. He was 17, and he was really interested. So David Dale took him under his wing and finally convinced him to go up to Oshogbo and to stay there for a year. Well, at 17, he is getting ready to do his military service. So he was creating like crazy and trying to sell. And the one picture I have of him is a little one, and it's called Io. It's dancers. And what he forgot when he was carving is you have to do it reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you print, it comes up the
Right,
other way. Well,
right.
he carved all the printing that he'd put in this painting the wrong way around.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought this picture in, and he was so embarrassed about it. He said, "Do you think anybody will mind?" Well, I bought it immediately. Don't worry about
Nobody's going to mind.
it. Nobody's going to mind. So he was just really apologetic. And he has gone off and done his service and come back, and I see that he is now a very accomplished artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so
That's
proud of him.
amazing. That's awesome to
Yeah.
see the growth and
Yeah.
and the fact that that's
David
happened.
passed away August 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Broke my heart.
Yeah.
But Bruce, who was 60 when we met him, is still going strong.
Wow.
He still comes to the States. He still does lectures. He goes to England. So it's just astonishing.
Yeah. Are there? I'm assuming then that listeners could probably look some of these folks up online. And
Absolutely,
see,
every one of them. If you type in their name correctly,
Mm-hmm.
it will pop up. You can get their bio. You can get where they are and what they're doing.
Okay. Tell us quickly a little bit more about the actual exhibit itself. I know that I believe that there are statements or information beside each piece that
Mhm.
tells a little description about the piece and the artist.
The artist, and I wanted to put what each one was, but a lot of them are so in depth it was hard to do that. But they represent myths
Mm-hmm.
and legends and everything. And my favorite one is the big one that's there. It's the myth of Oshogbo Akban. And Bruce has done probably 200 renditions of that. I came back with at least 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was done for a special exhibition. It is a one only. But it is the myth of a warrior he would make war for payment.
Yeah.
He was a mercenary. And he got good at it. And he had just won a war for this Oba, for this chieftain. They were in the great hall discussing all the skirmishes and the fights. And a thunderstorm rolled up, and the thunder was so loud that Oshogbo Akban could not talk. And he got mad. So he stomped out of the great room, and he shook his fist at the sky, and he said, "I declare war on thunder."
Ah.
So he commissioned that they build a scaffold, and the scaffold was supposed to be 2 miles high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all out of bamboo and wood and everything around. And if you look at the painting, it's actually built on the back of 4 elephants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that gives it a little more height.
Right.
And it's got calabash hanging off of it, which they had full of oil, and it was full of fire. So it got built, and he's ready to go climb it and take war to thunder. And just as he's going up in the middle of the night with all these things on fire, another thunderstorm comes through. And it puts all the fires out.
Mm-hmm.
Sky's clear, sun comes out. He says, "I have won."
Ah.
And he goes back in and finishes his conversation with the chief.
That's great. That's
But
wonderful.
that's one of his favorite myths.
Right. Yeah, I love, because again, the exhibit, every piece tells a different story.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
It shows daily life exactly the way I lived it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's amazing. Are there other locations for listeners to see pieces from your collection or other works of this art? Or
No, it's all kept in my climate-controlled basement. So I'm grateful for these opportunities to bring it out and show them.
Yeah, we are very, very grateful that you reached out to us for this opportunity, because again, I can't emphasize enough to our listeners how amazing the exhibit is.
They are astonishing.
I'm just privileged that I get to walk through it almost every day and take time to stop. Something catches my eye coming through that gallery every time. Yes. And it really, it really needs to be looked at time and time again. So I encourage our listeners to come in and take a look, come back and take another look. You've only got a few more weeks to do that.
Yes.
So
time's running
out.
Then
but
it goes back in the dark in my
basement. No. If there's anybody else out there that would like to host this exhibit, I'm sure you'd welcome that opportunity. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else you'd love to share with our listeners as we're wrapping up?
We came back with 180 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to pick and choose. I am now down to About 80.
Mm-hmm.
So all the exhibits and everything we've had, they've all gone to good houses.
Right.
And I'm so pleased with that.
And some of these pieces are available for purchase,
Every
correct?
one of them is available.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, there are some I don't want to sell, but we have no children. Our family's not interested in it, and I don't want to see it thrown out.
Oh, no way.
And people say, well, what is this garbage? If and when that time comes.
Right.
So that's why I'm doing this.
Well, hopefully you can continue to tell us the wonderful stories of these artists, and podcasts like this will now be able to share this and continue to share that story.
This opportunity is just wonderful.
Yeah. So we want to let our listeners know that the exhibit reception is this Friday, September 13th, and it's from 5 to 7 p.m. at Bauer Center. All guests are welcome. There's no charge. There is no admission to our galleries, so come on by. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and visit this exhibit. And our other exhibit that's also taking place right now is The Magical World of Fiber Art by Karen Tauber, who's actually going to be joining me later this month on the podcast to talk about her work. So we have two amazing exhibitions going on right now.
Her work is gorgeous.
Yes, it is. And so if you want to come by during the reception, you can meet both the artists, and they're both going to give short gallery talks about their exhibits that evening, starting about 6 o'clock. So the receptions from 5 to 7, and you can come in, have some light refreshments, and just enjoy talking with other community members, artists, and the folks that are hosting our current exhibits. As I'm closing up, I always like to wrap up to remind our listeners about what's going on at Bauer Center for the Arts. As always, we have fall classes and workshops for youth and adults ongoing, and registrations are open. We have some of our favorites that are returning, which include clay and pottery and mosaics and fiber arts. But we've got some new workshops and classes that are coming up. So please take a look at those on our website. We have a wet felting jewelry workshop. We have a drawing from life with depth and dimension class. We have a clay as a canvas workshop, which is a one-day workshop, and needle felted jellyfish ornament. We're coming up on the holidays, so we're getting started on some ornaments. And then we have Santasia Father Christmas workshop. So if you're not familiar with that, look up the Santasia Father Christmas, how to create a Father Christmas. These are great opportunities to create memorable pieces and things to hand down in your family, one-of-a-kind pieces. Tickets are also on sale. Our next live performance is actually a comedy show. So we have a Night of Laughs at the Bauer Center on October 5th. We have 4 comedians, some local talent, and then we have nationally recognized comedian called Grampy. He's a Tennessee-based comedian. His description is he's a senior clean comedian who's fighting the aging process while navigating grandkids, dating websites, and body failures at his age. So I think it's going to be a great evening of laughs. So please check out the tickets are available on our website as well. And don't forget that tickets are also on sale for our annual fundraising event, The Art of Pairing, which each year we do something different. This year we're pairing bourbon and blues. That's on October 19th. This is always a sellout event for to fundraise to support Bauer Center for the Arts. So please check out that information also on our website. Everything's available at bowercenter.org. So I want to thank Cynthia for joining me today. And so I hope everybody will come out this Friday on September the 13th, 5 to 7, to meet her and to see this amazing exhibit. So thank you.
Please come. I'll answer any questions.